Happy Memorial Day, everybody. It's Monday, Memorial Day, May 30th. Yesterday, I did the flea markets and came back with actually 3 parts machines, but these 2 came from the same seller. The third one is a Victor IX. I got it at another flea market, but we'll get to that another time. I was walking along. A friend of mine tugs my arm. You got to come see this. I took a look over. He'd been talking to the guy about them. Guy wanted to move them, and he had thrown out a price of $60. And I'm like, well, I don't usually get involved in, the off-brands. Off-brands, there was something like 300 or 400 different companies that put their name on some form of phonograph between 1890s and 1930s. And some of them are really good, some of them are really cheap. It depends. There's so many different types. A lot of them involve pot metal, which I hate dealing with, especially in the tone arms. And they're impossible to find parts for when those pot metal parts break. But anyway, a glance at these showed me that both of the tone arms not only were in very good condition, but were fully intact. And, the machines needed good scrubbing, a good cleaning. Said this one's going to need some gluing. The joints are a little bit loose. Everything's there, including the grill. It's all there. What really caught my eye, though, and attracted my immediate attention was what I saw sitting on top of this one, just like it is right now. It was just like this in the guy's stall. As you walk past, there it is. I looked over, and by the way, this machine is a total mystery. It doesn't have any name badge. It doesn't have any tags. Any spot where a water decal or a tag might have been, they didn't sign their work. It's got a general phonograph motor in there, a 2-spring motor, which looks to be in very nice condition, except it seriously needs the springs packed. They're thumping and bumping and rocking and rolling in there, so we got to get them out and repack them. But that's not a job for now. But what I saw, and we'll start with what was on top, is this. Victrola XI. That machine right there. Victrola XI. Victor's most popular phonograph for something like, 12 years? They made hundreds and hundreds of thousands of them. Very popular machine. This is the original instruction manual for one of them. You see these in reprint. They're easy enough to get that way. There are people on eBay who sell you reprint. Some of the part sellers will too. But finding an original is fairly unusual because a lot of people they didn't keep them. Sometimes you get lucky and they were stuck, in there. I think I had one 11 before that. I think the walnut one did have this. That went with the machine. But rarely have I ever seen one any Victrola that had the original instruction manual from a century ago. These things got put in personal files somewhere, thrown out years later, weren't kept at the machine because no one wants to keep it in there in the way of the records or leave it on top. And frankly, once you know how to operate the machine, you don't need this anymore. But it's a really nice accessory to have. There's its ribbon where it was tied, I think, to the tone arm, but I'm not sure. And I don't know what these go for. I know the reproductions go for like $14, $15 plus shipping. This has to be at least 3 or 4 times that much. That's what I would think for an original Victrola manual. So right away that had my attention. It's in nice shape too. With it, we have this. This is the Victor Index of Victor Records in really nice shape. There's the nipper stamped right on there. Victor Talking Machine Company, made this. Assuming it came with the same Victor 11, and it is not filled out. It is blank. It is blank. Like new. So we have that, and as if that wasn't enough, this was with it too. Soundbox exhibition for the number 11 for fiber needles. That means that the needle bar has the triangular opening to accept fiber needles, not the round one. Look at how clean that is. The box is beautiful. I'm assuming this was the original shipping box for the exhibition when the machine was shipped from the factory. When it got to the dealer took it to your home, uncrated it, put it together, got it running, set the speed for you, all of that stuff, showed you how to use it. And the exhibition reproducer would have been in this box. I imagine a lot of times this box would have been tossed. What do you need it for? You already put the machine together, just like packaging on something today. Out it goes. There's some needles stored in there now, so I don't want to open it. But the insert is there, as you would see, for the exhibition. Now, I've seen plenty of the little jeweled cases and the blue cases with the silver and or gold lettering on them from a later period. Never saw one of these before. But now I got one, and I'll tell you what, I would have paid More than what he was asking for the machines for that, but that's okay. There were like 20 records or so stored in there, in here. And like I said, this machine, the grill is nice. Look at that. And behind that grill, I don't want to damage anything here. A little awkward doing this one-handed, but there we go. Look at that nice horn. Yeah, it's dirty, but it's finished. Usually these things are left in the rough, you know, because no one sees them, but that's nice finished wood. Beautiful curvature on that. You know, it's just not like a straight box or anything like that. Somebody put some thought into it. I just wish they had signed their work so I would know what I have, you know, other than just an off-brand. I don't know. And look at the tone arm. Look, it's still shiny. There's no blistering, cracking, splitting, or any of the things I associate with pot metal that's over a century old. There's nothing under the diaphragm to indicate ownership. And I noticed right away that gasket. That gasket is not a century old. Maybe 30 years old, possibly 40. It's still pliable. It's a little faded. It's a little yellowed. It's exhibition tubing gasket, but it's in good shape. I did have to tighten the needle bar up slightly because it was buzzing quite a bit. It's still buzzing a little bit. I have to fine-tune that, but I'm not going to do it now because everything's coming apart on this eventually. You know, when I get around to servicing it. And as you know, it's a no-frills type of machine. Its basic footprint is that of the Victrola XI. It's a little smaller than the 9, this, you know, the square size. And of course, it's got the lower cabinet. But I would figure it's about the size of the 8. So it's not a big machine. But it's a very nice one. It's nicely made. It's nicely put together. I'm assuming this wood is mahogany. It looks like they tiger striped it a little bit. Kind of unusual with mahogany. I really don't know. I'm not an expert on woods, but I generally associate this color with red mahogany, which was really the popular wood choice for phonographs in this era, from, you know, the mid-teens to the mid-20s. A little dirty in there, but that's actually white mold. That'll wipe off. The other one is a pretty well-known machine. This is an Aeolian Volcano. The Aeolian company popped up in the mid-teens. They were primarily a record label, but they branched out into phonograph manufacture, and they had quite a product line. Whole catalog full of fun. They had everything. They had a floor model. They had this style. They had the tabletops, multiple tabletop models. All of them of the internal horn type. They didn't do horn machines. Now, they're a little different here with the tone arm. This one, it does have ownership. It does say Aeolian Volcanians right on there. Excuse me. But this, too, appears to have been played with. Someone was keeping it up. Now, this one, the motor is a little slow because it's obviously dry, although it did play the record. It has an auto stop on it. So I'm going to put this one mid-1920s. It does have an auto stop that actually works. And it's different. It's a different style than other machines. The cabinet is very heavy. Very, very heavily built. This is a solid piece of furniture. You know, you could support a car in this thing. It is heavy. It is obviously I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be, that veneer is mahogany. It has the Graduola. What's Graduola? Well, Graduola was a sound control that Volcano had. Here on this cable, at the end of this cable, you have a little plunger here. This opens and closes a sound door that's underneath the tone arm mount there. The idea here was you're listening to your record. All of a sudden, it got really loud because it got to the, you know, whatever, the trumpets or something. You would hit this or pull this out, and it would mute the sound a little bit. So you could actually have the power to mute the sound a bit while you're playing it. It's kind of like that thing we have with for the commercials on TV when you're watching a movie and all of a sudden a commercial pops up and they're screaming and the TV automatically mutes the sound a little bit to bring it down. Same thing with this. This is what the idea was behind this. It's got a cable that goes into the grill right there. I was looking at this at the flea market. Some gentleman came in, oh, that's the speed control. No, sir, that's not a throttle. I'm sorry. That's sound control. The grill is still very nice. It's all in there, and it hides behind this door. Is probably why. I mean, look how thick that wood is. Look how thick that is. And it closes perfect. It's missing the little crest up here. I don't know where I'm going to find that, but that's okay. We'll get one somewhere. Kind of like the Victrola 210, although I don't remember the 210 being built quite this solid. But I have no idea who built these cabinets for Aeolian. I doubt they did it themselves. Like I said, they were primarily a record label. I'm probably going to find a Heinemann motor hiding in there. That's normal. I think I've run into that. I think I've even run into Swiss motors in these. I'm not sure. With the off-brands, you never really know, until you get in there, what they might have been using. Could be a sow, could be something else, that it's almost feels like it's on a spring or pneumatic. I'm not sure. The wood is still nice. That'll clean up very nicely. It's tagged, so we know the model and all of that stuff. I'm not going to pull the machine out and look at it, but it is definitely tagged. I bought them from the guy. We managed to get the car in there into the flea market in the middle of 1,000 people, and we got them machines loaded out of it. They're not big. Neither one is very big. But they're kind of nice, and it's really nice to have all those extras. Here, I'll play this one for you. It's not playing 100% because the motor does need to be serviced, but it is actually playing. So that alone is highly unusual for me to bring back a machine from the flea market that actually plays at all. Never mind fairly well. And has rebuilt parts already on it. So I'm going to take this all apart anyway, the reproducer, but obviously somebody was doing something in here. Thump. Something thumped in there. Oh, there you go. That's what I mean about dry. Amazing. An as found at the flea market machine that actually plays with nothing done to it except a little pin tightening over there. Yeah, it needs a lot of work. It's got to come up. Motor's got to get cleaned. The springs need to be repacked, but they're not broken. That was a concern because, you know, sometimes with the off-brands, you're dealing with a motor that might be more difficult to get springs for or more expensive. And that would just make it a parts machine at that point because most of these are not worth, you know, putting hundreds of dollars in unless the machine has personal meaning. Wow! Unless the machine has personal meaning to you. But this is a nice little machine. This is a very nice little machine. It's going to get what it needs. Definitely not a piece of junk. And the fact that it actually works. Neither is this one. You know, I'll probably end up selling both of them eventually, but for the most part, I'm just going to play with them. You know, get them together. A little break from Victrola, which is mostly what I do. And I mentioned I did find a Victrola 9. That's really common to find at flea markets. There's so many 9s around. It's almost the most. Let's see, at the same flea market, I saw a Victrola 4. You always see these. A Victrola 8. Sometimes you see them, sometimes not. I think I pulled 2 of those machines out of that particular flea market in the past. This one was all done already, so it was nothing for me to do on it. So that really doesn't attract my attention. And the 9, I know I've gotten at least 3 or 4 9s out of that flea market. The price was right for a machine that's dirty and needs servicing, but really, excuse me, is in good shape. Dust. On that note, we will end it before I choke to death.